just don't know how amazing it is and how amazing the people in the industry are. I said, this is what I want to do. I want to celebrate them. And so, bam, here we are.
And that's kind of right where I'm pushing just off the cuff HVAC. The whole intent behind that was to open a more exclusive and in-depth detailed school, because you know as well as I do that when you get that journeyman ticket, the expectation just goes right up here. Now you're expected to know it all, and that in itself can be overwhelming. And that's when I was like, you know what, like I want to open a school where literally, okay, you've got your journeyman ticket, you as an owner have this new journeyman on your hands, and you're starving for ACs. So let's send you off for 2 weeks to the school. We'll get you trained up from mounting brackets to the wiring to the commission, so that way, after those 2 weeks, I can send you back to your boss and you can be moldable into that position where you've got the knowledge. You're losing that frustration because you're not being left last minute to just, oh, well, guess what? You got to do this. And you have no clue of what this is, what is entailed, what are the materials, what's the setup, Yes. So that's where I've been pushing. That's why I've been pushing just off the cuff is I want to get that school open. It's going to start just as an HVAC school, because obviously that's where my forte is. But the plan with that school is not just to limit it to HVAC.
Oh man, I just love talking to people and having that very first conversation and discovering like, man, I got to spend more time with that dude. That is Mr. Aaron Gibbs, the creator of Just Off the Cuff HVAC. And I ran into him, or maybe not ran into him, but found his content on LinkedIn. He has this mental health break that he posts every so often. And two things. One, they're funny, they're entertaining. Two, his awareness and the action that he's taken about advocating for mental wellness and self-care was like, man, I got to reach out to this dude. So we connected and he committed to having a conversation. So we got the chance to interview him all the way from Canada. Through the conversation, it was super clear that he really does care. Like he has a deep sentiment for the trades and for teaching people. So take some time. Let this be a nice long stretch of a mental wellness break and get to know our buddy, Mr. Aaron Gibbs. Oh my goodness, I almost forgot about the shout out for our patrons. I actually did forget. I had to come back and record this and cut it back in. Shout out to all the patrons out there who have been supporting. I don't know if you see us on the YouTube, you can see I added a fancy little backlight, and I learned that from my buddies over at Lions Legacy. I think it's cool. I don't know. We'll check it out. But thank you for your contributions, because the money that you're contributing helps us maintain the show. Also, we're spreading the love with Skilled Trades Alliance. If you're interested in being a patron, go ahead and head to the website, learningsandmissteps.com, hit the become a member button and blah, blah, blah. You already know the deal. Click the thing. And if you're feeling like super brave, head on over to like my new website, depthbuilder.com, which is my website for the business that I'm running. Because if y'all didn't know, I'm a consultant, coach. And while you're on that website, click on the books link, because guess what? There's a link to Lean in Love, 5S Love Letters. And if you're new to the show, I'm kind of fancy because officially I'm an author now, co-author with my really great friend, Jennifer Lacey. So check those things out. And if you don't check them out, it's okay. I love you, man. Thank you for giving us your time to listen to this episode. And here we go.
If we could get plumbers, if we could get electricians into that school, then we'll have that same capability that I'm presenting with HVAC to plumbers. It's like, okay, well, guess what? We're going to send you off to the school and we're going to teach you rough-ins or finals for plumbing for the next 2 weeks, course refreshers, stuff like that. Where, the companies profess that they're all about training, but they don't want to execute that time because it costs them.
It's an investment.
They always miss that point that, you're going to cost the employee, right? And you're going to cost that employee his career because you're not giving him or her that opportunity to just do without any sort of overbearing, looming evil force over top of it. What I mean?
Pressure, yes.
Yeah. So that's where. So when I seen your show, I was like, I love it. This is where we need to be. We as trades need to be going. power in numbers. That was one thing that I was always taught in the Army is, you get enough people, like-minded people together, there's nothing you can't accomplish, right?
100%. Like in service to others, joined and connected with other like-minded human beings, like limitless, 100% limitless. So this school that you're working on, is it going to be like, is it an in-person thing? Is it a virtual thing? Is it like a hybrid? What are you thinking there?
You know what? I'm a firm believer of hands-on. It's going to be an in-person school. Obviously, COVID killed that. But the thing that scares me most is what I hear is that most of these courses that are currently skilled trades and were skilled trades during that COVID time, that it was all online stuff. And that concerns me greatly because, okay, what application have you used? Right? It's okay to think about this and plan about this, but we need to actually apply it, practice it, and get better, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's value, right? There's different, I learned way too late, man. And I wish I knew this. Well, maybe not. It wouldn't have made a difference because I was a knockoff in school. But I learned maybe 10, 15 years ago, a buddy of mine, Louis Rodriguez here in San Antonio, he's like, hey, man, you need to check out this app. I was like, what is it? He's like, it's books. Like, you don't have to read them. They read the books. I was like, that's dumb. He's like, try it. And I tried it. I was like, oh, it was the best thing that audio. I'm an audible learner. Like, and then I was like flashing back to when I was in school. Like, I wouldn't take notes. And I rarely did homework. Because to me, homework was practice. Like if I already got it, why am I going to practice it? But listening, I would learn through listening. And then I would learn through kind of watching. Like if I need a little extra, I would watch whatever they're drawing up on the board. And tactile. Like I had to put my hands on things. Not everything. But to your point, like there are, yes, watching it, thinking about it, listening to
learning it and applying it.
Applying it. The application, and I think that's like the key, is the application of the knowledge that we've digested, putting it into practice, knowing what it smells like, feels like, tastes like, doing it under duress, under pressure. Like that's a whole other level of actual understanding. Oh man, I'm loving this. All right. So Mr. Aaron, I think you're in Alberta, Canada. Is that correct?
Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
All right. And that's closer to the mid or western side of.
We share a border with BC, so we're not too far from the ocean. And then we share the other border with Saskatchewan, so we're not too far from the prairies. So we're kind of stuck in the middle. We got a nice view from both sides of the fence. So we're stuck right in the middle, and it's a beautiful province.
I can imagine. I have not been to Canada yet, but it is absolutely on my bucket. And it's interesting. One thing that really intrigues me about Canada is, especially what I can see on like social media, on LinkedIn and stuff, is there is a huge investment around careers in the trades. And when I say investment, I guess the human beings, like Bob Baker, I was able to interview him. He's got his business and he's doing his thing, very, very visible on social media. But it also seems like broader support from industry and government are really investing in messaging around the value of the trades. Does it feel that way? I mean, you're there. It looks like that to me.
For me, I don't think it's so much. I'm kind of a different cat. For me, when I see talent on LinkedIn, and it's not exclusive. It's this sheer human talent. I see, what that person's presenting. Bob is an amazing guy. He's actually about 15 minutes away from me.
No way.
Yeah. Awesome cat. And I share a lot of the fact that, like, he's integral. He sticks to his guns. He does what's right, and he doesn't deviate. He doesn't mind spending that time, a little bit of extra time, to make sure that it's done right. And there's peace of mind, both not only on the customer side, but on his side too. And that's why I call them the. And they're just amazing. But I find that the support is coming from fellow trades. I don't feel that the support right now is coming enough from the government. Steve Turner, who's doing the Bring Back the Trades initiative, great, awesome initiative, and we are desperate right now, and that's why it's important that like individuals such as yourself and myself are getting, like, we're not going to be around forever, but at least what we're going to be able to do is leave a generation of knowledge to the next generation. And if we can do that, then that next generation is going to be a little bit better equipped to face the new adversities that are going to come their way during their generation. So, if we give these people these tools and give them the education, then we could probably definitely fill those quotas a lot quicker. But I feel that there needs to be a lot more promotion for skilled trades right now, and it has to be universal. I'm a big time equalitarian. I like to see an equal fence on everybody's front yard, and that everybody's being treated fair and equal, regardless of where you come from, what you do, what color you are. You could be purple and, from Mars. If you can do the job and you've got the skills and you've got the talent, then by all means, come on board. Let's do this. Let's get you, wisened up, and then you can flourish just like we are, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's just it. There's a lot of angles. There's a lot of problems in terms of expanding the workforce in the trades. And for me, where I'm really targeting my effort is like helping people understand what is available. I was at a high school this week on Wednesday. I got to speak to 2 groups of students, like 30 kids. It was so I love doing that. If I could do that like all day, every day, I would be one happy person.
Young, receptive minds.
Yeah. And they're just fun, right? Like they're just real. There's not a lot of the baggage that adults bring, right? The calculated thinking and agenda pushing, like they're just like, they don't know what they want to do and they're interested. But one of the career counselors, one of the slides that I show kind of says, okay, you can come into the trades at this level and installer level and become a journeyman and start your own business. That's absolutely a pathway, but it's also all these other careers. There's marketing career, there's talent acquisition, there's HR, there's finance, there's like all of these different career pathways that are also in construction or in the trades. And she says, I just never that was like news to me. It's like, we just don't think about that. I had a friend of mine, Diana Huang, who amazing recruiter, talent acquisitionist. And when she was working for the company I was working for back then, and she was like, Jess, a lot of my friends thought I was crazy for working with a construction company. Like they couldn't, why would you do that? But the company we were working with was like a Fortune 100 company, year after year after year, top 100 company to work for, and just an amazing environment. But people don't know. And so I want to focus on elevating the awareness of the amazingness that is here and the super cool, awesome people like you that are in the trade, because I'm going to get to the, I want to know about your wellness mental health break. Yes. But before I get to that, so you mentioned you were in the Army, you live in a beautiful part of Canada that's between the water and the prairies. What else should the L&M family know about you, man?
I love to educate. I love passing along this knowledge, making life easier, because I did not have an easy time either coming through my trade, and still even to this day, somewhat thrown to the wolves with no direction. But I've got the skills and capability to, okay, well, if they're not going to give me this, then I still need to stick to my basic fundamentals and get the job done using what I've learned over the past. So, they may not give me the information, but I'll find somebody else that'll get me that information. And I won't just sit stagnant and wait for somebody to hand me that information. It's like, no, if we're going to do this, we're going to commit to doing this. And I think it also boils down to just people who treat this rather than a job as a career.
Oh, man.
And the stigma that's behind construction, I still don't get this, don't get into construction. That guy, he looks like bum. And it's like, do you know that I make more than a mechanic, like an auto mechanic right now?
Yeah.
So you got to get rid of that stigma that there is so much opportunity. And just as you said, just because you're in the trades doesn't mean that you're stuck in that one position forever. There's obviously, like you and I have done, you can do videos, you can educate when you feel that comfortability, that knowing that the knowledge that you're passing on is good, sound knowledge. I have yet to see what we refer to as hacks on LinkedIn. I haven't seen a hack yet. And I think that's where the benefit of LinkedIn comes in is, obviously we get like-minded individuals that are all wanting to educate. And that for me that's the same boat that I'm in. So for me, I just about getting that education out there, getting the school up and running. And rather than spending my life torquing up 350-pound ACs onto brackets, I'd rather be talking to these kids and showing these kids how to do that stuff on their own. Like, it's like, yeah, it starts to take a toll after a while. I got to start looking end game. So it's like, yeah, I'll do this for the next little while, but yeah, we got to start looking to not completely get out of the field, but get a little bit more administration on, go back to the administration stuff. I did do administration for a while. And the sad part is we were going through again another struggling time out here in Alberta, where unfortunately people that were coming on to work needed incentive to work, and it's like, well, no, we're paying you to do this. How come you're not doing it? Whereas in our generation, like, if you didn't do something, right? Oh, you were torqued into the office and hold on to the seat, man. We might land afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a pretty humble guy. I don't like to talk too much about myself. I like talking about other people, and that's where I love inner promotion. People like Bob Baker, Sean Padell, Donald Baker as well, Gary McCready. Like, we've got all this talent coming on, and I'm pretty sure that you see the talent coming on for. And I know Bob Baker's plumbing too, but if we all get all these people together, like, open up Lincoln School, like, we could have we could create that next evolution for technicians, right?
Oh man, yes, absolutely. I think what's interesting, and you're in the social media space, right? Like, technically, we're like influencers, bro. Like, who would have thought? And
that's where it's also important too, because if we push this enough and we get enough people together, then we can start to push that evolution. Like, okay,
yes,
and it's not like it's going to happen overnight, but simple things like, okay, well, we're in a mechanical room, maybe we should have a light that's over top of the equipment rather than in the back corner, so we can actually
back behind us,
right?
Simple things,
right?
Yes.
So those little things that just make your job go that much easier. If we get enough of us together and start really, we can power numbers and create a voice to start maybe pushing back on some of the treatments that you hear about out in the field. And it's some of the treatments are, remember I was talking earlier, and we might just not talk on some things, and I'll be like,
no, I feel you, man. It's an amazing place to be in the trades, and there's a lot of room for improvement. I mean, I think that's the fairest way to say it. There's a lot of room for improvement in terms of appreciating or demonstrating appreciation for the men and women that are doing the work. Like, it's real. And it's freaking amazing. Like, it can be amazing. One of the things that's interesting about, I think, that I learned, but nobody told me this is what I was learning, building my career in the trades, was you just kind of end up developing this inherent skill to figure things out. Like, whatever it is, you can just figure it out. Like now, podcasting and live streaming and pushing content. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine that I've known since elementary school. She's got her own business, and she was like, "Hey, like, I see you very active on social media. Like, can you show me some of the tools?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is what it is." And she's like, "Oh my God, this almost seems like this has been your career." I'm like, "Well, it kind of is now, kind of, because of the value and the marketing value of being visible." And then, like, I was like, "Well, I don't really understand what you're saying." It's like, "Jesse, like, I need you to come talk to my team, because I'm trying to get my team to get comfortable with social media. And what you just described to me is like the pathway to do that." It's like, "How did you learn that?" It's like, "I don't know. I just watched some YouTube videos, experimented, and like, this is my recipe." So obviously you've applied that same skill that you learned through installing, like learning how to figure things out and just dealing with it. It gets messy, it's funky, but with practice, you get really good at it. Can you tell us a little bit about that, like making that leap? Because putting yourself out there in video or even in voice for the world to critique is not the most comfortable thing. What did that feel like for you, brother?
It's funny. And I was my first YouTube video, and I was just at first I was just it was my pilot. I literally set my phone up on a mattress straight across from my thermostat. It is still on YouTube. I kept it because at first I was kind of like, maybe I should redo this video. And I'm like, yeah, like it wouldn't be too bad, because obviously, like, this is my first video, so maybe I should redo it. And then I was like, you know what? No, I want to remember where I started with this. It took I did about 8 to 12 takes. But what I was trying to strive for, and that's why I called it Just Off the Cuff, was literally, and that's what we do in skilled trades, is we're given a fountain of knowledge. We're expected to go into these customers, and we are literally blasting them just off the cuff. So that's why I ended up going, you know what, I'm just going to call this Just Off the Cuff HVAC, you know, and it was just off the cuff at first. I was like, no, we'll throw the HVAC in there. And yeah, it was a big step to do that first video and to literally throw my face out there and go, you know, I ain't the prettiest guy around. For me, it's not about the looks. It's about having that one good journey person, you know, the one mentor that you need to support you and encourage you and to drive you to do better for your career. And that's where I was like, you know what, that's kind of where I want to take it. Except now, rather than just having one apprentice, I got a whole social media platform to basically throw that education out there with. Use it if you want. If you can develop a better method off of that system, then do it. That's, if you can surpass me,
yes,
all the power to you, right? Because then that means that person's going to be that much more smarter and that much more able to deal with whatever comes their way.
100%. Oh, yeah. Dude, there's so much in that. There's another one of the magical gifts of being a craft person or tradesperson, is the opportunity to help develop other people, right? Like sharing or transferring the knowledge that we've gained and seeing them grow as individuals is like the ultimate. I mean, I remember, you know, you probably have a list of the journeymen that you worked with that totally shifted the way you saw life and like gave you confidence and momentum to go forward. So one, I experienced that as an apprentice, and then all of a sudden I wasn't the apprentice anymore. I'm the journeyman now. And I've been able to do that, like help people expand there's one guy, he was a general labor. We had him on the project, and he was on a project not in the best circumstance. And the leader of that project was very short-sighted. So he kept him at the general labor level for over a year. But this man had skill. Like, he showed up every day. He was, whatever you asked him to do, he was hungry to learn. And so you shared knowledge with him, he would do it. You gave him a broom to push, he would push the broom. Like, it didn't matter. Anyways, fast forward, general labor, now his master's license is the license that this huge company is operating under, right? I had a conversation, like, I said, dude, we need sheet metal mechanics, sheet metal leadership. Why don't you think about getting in the sheet metal apprenticeship? He said, nope, I'm going to be a plumber. I said, man, we got a lot of plumbers. He said, that's what I want to do. I said, okay, so get you in the plumbing apprenticeship. He went through the apprenticeship, knocked that out of the park, got his MedGas endorsement, got his master's license, did the schooling to become a responsible master. And now the company is functioning under his, and, you know, I played a small role in it. Actually, I was trying to push him to another trade, but being able to know, like, man, I was a party to that growth, like him as an individual growing, his family, like the earning potential that we can support and grow within the individual. Like, talk about fulfillment, right? Like,
right. Gratifying. So gratifying.
That's it. And so back to the social media piece, it is uncomfortable. And there's a lot of space for us craft workers, us trade professionals, construction professionals, to demonstrate how awesome it is, right? Like, we can make it sexy. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job of making it sexy.
I wholeheartedly concur with that. Like I said, yeah, your messages are deep and impactful. They reach you. It's not what people, I think it's the word's fluff. It's not fluff, you know, this is good meat and potatoes on the table. So yeah, beautiful work, and kudos to you, my friend, because we need more of you out there.
Yeah.
And we need to, again, bring this energy and this excitement back to the trades, because, you know, for me at this phase of the game, there's no bad days. There's long days, but you never have a bad day anymore. And it's like, why couldn't I have this at the beginning? Why didn't people teach me this stuff so I could spend the next 23 years absolutely living a gravy life, you know? So, but that's, guys like you and some of the other great platforms that are on LinkedIn. Yeah, like there's so much here that you can resource off of and educate and inspire that next generation.
Yeah, man. And you're doing it too, right? And so what I want the L&M family to take away from this is you shared how uncomfortable it was to do the first one.
Yes.
But since then, you built momentum. And everybody's going to respond to a different flavor. That's another thing. Like I used to get hung up on, man, I'm kind of saying the same thing other people have said. And it's true. I am. However, everybody has a different palette, right? Some people like my style.
Everybody's got an angle.
Exactly. And so get your message out there. It doesn't matter if it's the same thing, because some people really need your style, your message, your perspective. We can all say exactly the same thing. We're all going to say it differently. And we're going to tie it to our own personal experience that other people are having. And they are just looking for somebody to connect with. So that brings me to the mental wellness breaks. That was the first time I saw, so it came across my feed. I said, oh, this is interesting. And then it was funny. It was cool. I was like, man, this is awesome. I got to connect with this guy. So how did you get to that subject?
For me, I because my past military career, I do live with PTSD. So okay. It does have a major impact on how you function and operate. It doesn't make you any less capable, but it just gives you, it sometimes can be challenging, a lot more challenging on certain times and occasions to get stuff done or motivate yourself and stuff like that. And for me, I feel that mental health has been kind of, what's the best word? A touchy subject in the skilled trades industry. It's not vocalized as much and it's not recognized as much. And for me, being the guy that I am, I'm very protective of my connections. And it was actually one of my connections, Veronica. She was just on there and she was doing a post about her and her mom and celebrating her mom and the experiences that she had with her mom. And some person decided to get on there and say, well, this belongs on Facebook. Oh, and I was like,
negative.
Okay. I'm sorry. Who are you?
Yeah.
Who asked you for this opinion? Do you think that was supportive of the person that you're talking to? Do you know what that person's going through right now? So when I seen that, and it wasn't that was the first occasion that I caught it, but I got on there right away and I said, what work doesn't have breaks? We are entitled to a break.
Yes.
And more I started seeing these posts, and some of my connections were actually afraid of posting some of their stuff. You know, they were like, I don't know if I should post this. And I was like, you know what? That should never be a question.
Yes.
It's all in the eye of the beholder and a perspective view. Post it. Now, obviously, we've got those negative Nellies out there, that can't see the benefit of what that is. So I don't know. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say it.
Yeah.
And not going to be supportive, then scroll along. Like it's just that easy. So what ended up happening is after I seen enough of these, I was like, okay, that's it. There's no more of this. You want to see something? Let's show exactly what a mental health break is literally something that is applied on a daily basis. It can be applied every hour if you need to. It's literally a 3-minute set. Well, however long you need to basically recover mentally. Because again, we take all these physical breaks, but we don't stop to recover our brains. Because when we're sitting on our breaks, our minds are still going, right? And we're not essentially taking that break. Our bodies are getting the rest, but our mind is still worked up. So mental health break became literally taking that moment away from your work to remove yourself from all of the negativity or adversities of what your job is doing or what the weather's like, and literally giving your brain that second to go, you know what, it's okay to take 5 minutes to myself to not think about work. All right. And maybe support some people on LinkedIn or watch some videos on LinkedIn, learn something, remove yourself from that problem. Give your mind that break the same way that you give your physical break. And then you can come back and tackle whatever it is, generally well motivated and re-energized to do it.
Yes.
Right? Whereas before, if you just take that break and oh, Jesus, now the break's over.
Now I got to go back into it. Yes.
No, that's you're already defeated. Right. So
yes.
Yeah, I ended up, I basically wanted to do it worldwide. And, I've got I don't know how many fabulous, talented doctors as connections that are promoting the same thing, positive energy promotion. I call them my positive energy promoters, actually.
Yeah, nice,
and,
nice.
I'm always like with my platform, like that's why I repost this stuff, because they are just as much involved in my skilled trade world as could be involved in somebody else's world. But they do give people that opportunity that if you're checking me out and I've got one on their posts up, they're insightful people and they can really re-energize you, change your perspective, right? Start you thinking a little bit more the same way that when we first get our tools for doing our work. Okay, well, we've got these tools now. Guess what? We're going to give you some more tools, but these are going to be up here.
Yeah.
So that, you're not drained by the end of that day. You can literally, I had this conversation actually with a fellow coworker that I had worked with 10 years ago at this new company. I seen him and he's like, "You're looking amazing." And I'm like, "Well, thanks." He's like, "So what are you doing differently?" I was like, "Oh, I drop work. Soon as I had spent the rest of my career literally going 18, 19-hour days, like thinking about this. How can I be better? How can I make sure that the product I'm providing is good, sound, quality product, will last for life, to make sure that, that person is understanding of the service that I've given them and understands the knowledge that I've given them and will be able to apply that knowledge I've given them."
Yeah.
Right? That's
it, man. Thank you for that description and like the appreciating your network and highlighting other people's stuff, because that's what it's about, right? It's about supporting each other. And the reason that this mental wellness break like resonated with me is I've got a therapist and I finally figured out how to invest in my own mental wellness after 43 years. Like it took me a long time. And because it was never, I can't blame it, but one of the contributors was it was never discussed, right? Yeah. Like if I had problems, if I had mental, emotional baggage, you just suck it up and deal with it, right? That was the message.
That was the attitude. That was the way it was across the world, right? And
yes,
it was almost just another kind of, we want to sweep this under the carpet. We don't want to really. We'll let you deal with that at home, because really at that point, and to be fair, the tools weren't out there. Nobody had started, unless you were a psychologist, right?
Yes.
What do we have in skilled trades? Well, we've got HR, but that's not a skilled psychologist, right?
Yes.
So it was, again, there was almost a stigma behind mental health too. Like, well, if you have depression or anxiety, then you're this, and that's not the case. Unless you've done the research and stuff like that. It is a huge challenge, but it can be overcome. And me, myself, having done therapy for as long as I have, I can tell you that when you are genuinely happy with yourself, then you have the ability to project that energy onto others and help start that river going for them. So all my friends, I get somewhat overworded at times, but it's because I can now see the value of where I started, where I've ended up, and the fact that I'm content being me. Yeah. You can call me all the names of the book. It's just literally going to go in one ear, out the other, maybe under the hat, but under the hat to save for later to go, But when you have that ability to actually wake up every morning, it's not a perfect life. You still have, draining days and times where you are not as fit as you'd like to be, but you're human. So cut yourself some break, right? We drive ourselves so hard over our careers that we get complacent on forgetting to take care of ourselves and forgetting that if we don't take care of ourselves, then we can't take care of others.
Oh my God. Mic drop. Like all I can say is amen. Yeah. Like, yes, sir. Man, I love it. Please, at L&M family, you're listening, you're watching, share this message, embrace the message, because we don't have to suffer alone. We don't have to suffer in silence, right? And you nailed it. We're tradespeople, we're craftspeople. This is a new tool to add to your toolbox, and it can bring you joy 100%. Damn it, man, I'm so glad we got to talk.
Oh, I love this conversation. I love a great conversation and meeting new people and people with the same passions and energy. Yeah, You get enough of us together, it can be a bonfire of good time.
Yes, we'll start us a real good fire. 10-4. So here's my favorite question. Well, I got two favorite questions. This one is, you've got a lot of experience, right? You've come through the trades, you were in the military. Now you're focused on serving others and sharing your knowledge. And so along that pathway, there was a ton of learning, and there was probably some missteps. And so is there like a significant learning that you had as a result of a painful misstep?
From one perspective view, you know what? A painful misstep for me through my career was the fact that I had.
Oh, yeah. I got to interrupt the flow just a little bit. Can you hear that music in the background? A little groovy music. Anyhow, this little segment of this interview exists and is only available on the YouTube. That's right. We got a YouTube channel, Learnings and Missteps. Check it out. Or you can go to learningsandmissteps.com and find our YouTube channel there. And while you're there, you can also click on Become a Member to contribute some money, like funds. Straight up, I'm just going to say it. 80% of that is going to be donated to the Skilled Trades Alliance, because the Skilled Trades Alliance mission is very much in line with the Learnings and Missteps mission. And we're going to support great things and great people. And you signing up as a patron will contribute to that effort. So we appreciate you deeply for doing that. Also, I don't know if y'all heard or not, just in case you missed it, I'm an author now. Jennifer Lacey and I have co-authored a book. You got to check it out. Lean in Love, 5S Love Letters. It's on the Amazon. The whole goal of that book is to just help one person. And so far, we've gotten several people from the No BS tribe, from the L&M family, that have indicated to us that something, at least one little thing in the book, has helped them. And so we've kind of exceeded our goals. But to exceed the goal and continue helping people, that is the ultimate privilege in the world. So while you're out there on the Amazon, on the YouTube, on the LinkedIn, all the socials, leave us some reviews, leave us some comments. Let us know you're out there. I know you're there. I see the statistics, the data, but I don't get to interact with y'all, and that makes me a little bit sad. Anyhow, I'm going to stop my whining. Appreciate y'all very much. Go to the YouTube to catch this Learning and Misstep Backstage Pass. And here we go, back to the conversation that aren't going to help you diversify your knowledge. And it's unfortunate that you might have to go and leave one place to another, start all over again, build your network, build your trust, earn that credibility. And so like there are some companies, and maybe that's the takeaway, right? For the young apprentices out there, you're looking to get into the industry, find you a company that has programs that will help you develop, and be very clear that you want to. I mean, how many people have you met that have 15 years of experience, but it's 15 years of the same skill, the same single one skill? You ever come across that?
Right. And it's you know exactly where we're stabbing with that one too, which is the exposure. Like, great. You've had one experience for 15 years or 12 years. What other exposures have you had? How do you know that system or method is correct?
Yes.
Right. And how do you know if you've never explored those options?
Yes.
You run into a ton of companies like that they're literally 20 years back from, like, from where you go to one company and it's like, oh no, we're up to speed here. But you go to another company, it's just like, well, they're doing things like we did 20 years ago.
Yep.
Well, why is this? We've got new well, this is what saves money, and this is what.
Yep.
Well, is it though? Right. That's where I get into these conversations. Well, this coil is this AC coil, not with my current company, of course, but this AC coil. This was with other companies. This AC coil doesn't come with a TX valve on it, so we're saving this much money. Are you though? Because now your technician, who may not be educated as well as most technicians, is now going to spend maybe an hour, and it shouldn't take an hour, obviously. But if you don't have that exposure, you're potentially putting your company at risk for something as little as a TX valve.
Yes.
Right. Putting on that TX valve, well, if we've already got one on there, then we're not paying the extra labor time of somebody having to install a TX valve, which it's so much easier to put a TX valve onto the factory than it is when it's all encased in metal, right?
Oh yeah.
So yeah. And then obviously now with this is something that's been driving me crazy for years, and I'm not afraid to say it, is actually, I think I've seen one furnace so far. What is with these furnaces? If you're designing furnaces, why can you not make sure that the AC ports are away from the venting of the furnaces? Why do the AC port have to be directly in behind either the PVC or the ABS venting? Somebody.
Let's just make it as hard, as tight as possible to get in there and do the damn work. Yep.
Like, come on. And it's the same thing like with one of my videos is, we've got, and it's not everyone again, but we got people sending low voltage out with the line set, which is, great if you can put some distance between those line sets, but we're brazing with over 400 degrees of flame. So if we've got plastic sitting on hot metal, what's going to happen, right? And I don't know. There was a company about 7 years ago. That's what I ran into. And every one of them, I ended up turning around and they were looking at me to fix it. And I was like, I'm sorry, I do not run the low voltage. The low voltage is the responsibility of your electricians. We do not carry the UV resistant wire with us. You're going to have to get your electricians. Well, can you cut the hole? No.
Yeah, not a good idea.
Like we're and there it's cutting into the nice finished stucco or stippled ceilings, right?
Yeah. Yep.
At that point, because we need to get access or we've got to cut the outside of the house. And it's just, I know that you see it in plumbing too, with some of these outside hose bibs that have burst from freezing and stuff like that, where you've got to get in there. And it's not the easiest access in the world. And it's like, no, you know what? I'll fix the line sets if the line sets are done. But there's some clear and obvious things that need to be thought about when we're doing this stuff. And now you see with other builders, they're starting to get and other trades is they're starting to get wise. It's like, okay, let's move that low voltage wire away so we don't have to spend over $1,000 repairing the ceiling.
Yeah, some of these repairs are like super invasive, and honestly, I can patch a sheetrock wall, but it's going to look like a plumber patched the sheetrock wall.
Right?
You don't want me to do that. It's not going to be attractive. Oh man, this is beautiful conversation. So yeah, and I get one thing as you're talking, right? Your trades HVAC, you're talking about the TX valve, the thermal expansion valve. You're talking about low voltage wiring. We're talking about gas. You're talking about PVC, and for the drain, the condensate drain and such. And like we talk about it like it's a hamburger, right? Like it's nothing. Mm-hmm. But for folks out there, I hope what you can kind of, as you were asking yourself that question, like what in the world are they talking about? That is the complexity of systems that's in your house. Like we're not talking about stadiums or sky rises. We're talking about a house, and the amount of expertise and knowledge and skill it takes to be able to install these very complex systems is immense. And like, it's so easy to take it for granted. So I wanted to point that out. Like you got real skill, man. And for folks out there listening that may think that getting into the trades is like easy, it's not. If you think you can get into the trades and it's not going to be like mentally taxing, you're wrong, because you're going to have to learn a bunch of stuff. And you start thinking in terms of, if I do this, the next three things could go really badly. So your time horizon expands. You start understanding the implication of this decision, how that's going to impact and make your day longer or shorter or better. So I just want to throw that out there for people that might think, the trade, that sounds like fun. I'm gonna go do it as a hobby. Like it's a career. It's absolutely a career. It's a way of life. I mean, straight up.
And it's a gratifying, rewarding career too, in the fact that you yourself can definitely, you come in, hot water tank is leaking like a sieve. Guess who's there with a brand new hot water tank, and literally, maybe worst case scenario, depending on access, you're out an hour later. They're all warm and fuzzy. You're all warm and fuzzy. You've saved the day, and you can give your own self your own pat on the back, because you know that there's peace of mind that you've done the right job. You've done your due diligence, and that you've given these people a good quality product, the same way that they could go and get their car serviced. It's the same thing, right? Every field has, it's always going to have its lemons and its bad apples. Of course. But if we get enough of that push, then yeah, we're going to start to really encourage people to get it. And yeah, it's totally challenging, but it's doable.
100%.
Right? So,
Yeah.
so people should not be intimidated whatsoever about getting into skilled trades. I don't know how many people I've encouraged over the years to push themselves and get into skilled trades. And I push them, like, you want to come work in HVAC? Like, we can get you up there. And
Yeah.
but take some time and think about what you are passionate about and what you enjoy doing. If maybe if you like learning about all this stuff, you might want to, pursue engineering or joining, a major manufacturing company and pressing to see if you can become one of those people actually designing the next line of furnace, hot water tank or direct line or hydrogen cell or whatever we're doing these days.
All of it.
Hot air balloon. We'll just go back to hot air balloon. Everybody can live inside a hot air balloon.
Oh yeah, it's amazing how rapidly technology evolves, and it, like, trades are 100% impacted by that. So you're a pretty influential human being, Aaron. You've already had an influence on me. I think your message is one that a lot of people are going to benefit from. And so in that line of thinking, what footprint do you intend to leave on the world, sir?
Obviously, if I can, I'd love to leave a school. Pardon me, choking on coffee. I'd love to leave a school behind for those, to educate those, so that again they don't go through the same challenges as us. And if that school can go worldwide, by all means, we all again, we're not just limited to one talent. If you've got other talents out there, why not explore them? Let's develop those talents. Let's not waste talent, because you see that all too often. And the other thing is just to keep my angle of, I grew up watching a lot of Red, Green, and MacGyver growing up. So that's why with me, I think it's important that we add, if we're going to be delivering this information out there, we've got a little bit of element of humor to warm up to what we're about to receive. So it's nice to throw in a little bit of a mental health break just before you start to blast them with some knowledge. And for me, I loved Red, Green, and MacGyver growing up, so I just kind of keep on running it like that. Some humor, some know-how, and if you can't go point A to point B, maybe we should go point B to point A.
Oh man, yes, 100%. So your YouTube channel, what's the name of your YouTube channel so people can go and check this out?
Just Off the Cuff HVAC. Everything from TikTok to everything's called Just Off the Cuff HVAC. It is simply about opening the school. I didn't want, obviously I throw my name at the bottom of it just so you know who's talking to you, but it's all about the education for me and getting that knowledge out there and helping individuals flourish and blossom into, some amazing, remarkable people.
Didn't I tell you, doesn't it just come across how clearly and deeply he cares about people, just like human beings in general? And then this idea he has around the school, I think it's fantastic, especially like his energy around banding all these other people out there to really make an impact, a long-lasting impact on the future of the trades. As always, we're going to give a shout out to that L&M family member that went out of their way to leave us a comment, leave us a review. And so this one goes out to Miss Melissa, also known as Izzy. I'm going to have to put my glasses on for this one. Miss Melissa says, much appreciated how this breaks down communication on and off the job site. Applying the 5S concept into our day-to-day conversations to build healthier relationships can be a heavy concept. I hope she wasn't talking about my belly. But the stories and playful workbook feel shifts the heavy to relatable. A quick read for an ever-growing mind. Thanks, Jesus and Jennifer. Thank you, Miss Izzy, for leaving us a review and being supportive all the way through, because you were also there behind the scenes asking questions and helping tinker around with my brain as we were producing the book. To the rest of y'all, love y'all very much. Be kind to yourself, and we'll talk at you next time. Peace. Oh my goodness. You're either driving down the road or just so enthralled with this whole podcast that you went all the way down to the very, 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 very end of it. And we appreciate you. And we're going to take this as an indication of your dedication. So we got a little special request of you, a call to action, because everybody tells us that, like, you need to have a call to action. So here's the call to action. Be kind to yourself. Go out there and share a smile with someone. Peace.